Welcome back to the ReachABA Parent Series 2022. You can do it all. So now you should have had some time to experience the behavior in question that we were talking about in our first meeting. You should have some notes on it too. Don't worry if you didn't write it down. You can use your memory. All right, back to my 7-year-old daughter. We talked about her coming home routine. She hates being nagged at. She doesn't do what I want her to do, though, without me nagging her. She also really wants to be independent. So I'm going to use all of that. Her coming home routine has remained the same. She comes in the door, she drops everything on the floor, and she disappears with me following her, nagging her to hang up your coat, put your shoes away, or bring your lunchbox upstairs, empty your folder. Imagine me saying this on repeat, though. It gets real annoying, doesn't it? I wouldn't want to be her. So here's what I did. I observed her. Like we talked about last time, I observed her. I didn't help her. I didn't set any new parameters. I just observed and took some notes. I found when observing that it took her anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes on average to finish this task. And during that time frame, I would give her the initial prompt when we walked in the door. So, hang up your coat, put your shoes away, all that kind of stuff. That one is a freebie. It doesn't count towards your data. And would need to remind her to get back to it anywhere from 5 to 10 times before the task was completed, which is a lot for a very short task. Okay, so because it took between 5 and 10 minutes for her to complete this task when I was just watching her, I'm just going to take an average here. This is key. I know she can do it in 5 minutes or less, but she didn't always. And I want her to be successful here, or the whole thing is going to backfire on me. If it doesn't work and she's not getting anything out of it, it's not going to make a difference in her life. So I'll start the first week at 8 minutes. It's a little bit higher than the average of 5, but I'm just giving her some grace. Same thing with the prompts. Eventually, I want prompting to become something that's not needed because the behavior will be automatic. But for now, I just want to ask less. So always keep in mind, these are all things that ultimately we want our kids to be really independent with. These activities that we're talking about, we want them just to be able to do. But we need to set the stage for that. So by scaffolding the requirements and scaffolding the supports, we can slowly fade them out strategically over time once we know they're working. Now, she needs to complete her list of things that she has to do within 8 minutes and with, I would say, 5 or so prompts. If she wants a special snack and tablet time, which is what I know she wants, can she do that? Did I forget anything? Well, let's back up a step. Ultimately, what do I want? I want my daughter to do her routine without me telling her. I want to nag her less. So I've decided that I just need to stop telling her. I've identified the behavior following a simple coming home routine that I want her to do. I'm still going to remind her when we first walk in the door what she needs to do. That's a freebie still. I know what she wants. She wants her snack of choice and screen time and for me to stop annoying her, right? So can I marry the two? I sure can. So here's what I started trying. I got my materials out. I have a visual checklist, a timer, and a reward. Now, a reward, you say? A reward for finishing a regular routine that's required of her to do? Why would I do that? Well, because I need to make sure that she's motivated. She's going to get a snack one way or another once the task is completed, even if we end up fighting about it. But then I'm stressed and she's stressed. So why not up the stakes to something more preferred if she does something to earn it? Because that will also ultimately take away my stress and hers as well. If I end up doing it for her, she still gets snack. If she ends up doing it in the time allotted without me bothering her about it, she gets something more preferred. No nagging, no stress. People still get to eat. It's great. So what did I do? I took her aside and I let her know that if she finished unpacking and putting her things away in 8 minutes or less, and I only needed to remind her 1 or 2 times after we first walked in the front door of the house, and everything was put away where it belonged, because that's her job, then she'd get a snack of her choice and go get her tablet for 30 minutes using the aforementioned timer, of course, without me bothering her about it. Always keep in mind, these are all things that ultimately we want our kids to be independent doing. I don't want to be reminding a 16-year-old to hang her backpack or empty her folder so we know what her homework is. I probably will be, but ultimately I don't want to. I want her to be independent with that stuff. But we need to set the stage for that. So by scaffolding the requirements and scaffolding the supports, I'm going to say it a million times, we have the structure in place where we can slowly fade pieces out over time strategically once they are working and make sure that they keep on working. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, to make it clear that what I wanted without having to insert myself repeatedly, I just made her a simple checklist. So it was part of my material list. These are my favorite. I love checklists. I use them for myself on a daily basis. It's fantastic. You can use them with kids of all ages and all abilities. You just need to tailor it to the kid. For my second grader, it's just a basic checklist on a piece of paper. Just write it down. She can read well enough for that, and she really likes checking things off, so I leave a pen or a pencil out for her, and it works really well. For my son, my kindergartner, I have checklists where it's just a mix of words and pictures. I'm keeping it to what he knows. So it's words that I know he knows with pictures to reinforce it. And for my 2-year-old, I just use big graphics. So I have pictures that I've just printed out, and then you can stick Velcro on the back, and she can move them over herself. And hers usually only has a couple on there at a time. If a checklist where you mark off what is complete doesn't seem to be working, there's a myriad of other ways you can implement this. You can get a custom board made with etched name on it, and you can get a dry erase board magnet thing where you can slide stuff over. You can use Velcro, like I mentioned before. You can use digital. You can download apps on an iPad or any other tablet that's a checklist. You can use an Alexa or Google Home. There's lots of things that you can use, whatever's going to work for your child and for you. And you might have to try a few until you find one that works, or you might have to have a few options so that one doesn't get stale and kind of overused. So, always good to keep things fresh. Now, she needs to complete the checklist within 8 minutes if she wants a special snack and tablet time. Okay, can she do it? Did I forget to set anything up for her? Did I forget anything that might make it harder for her to do this in that time? It's time to test it out. So test out yours, whatever you're working on. Test it out. Take some notes. Keep timing. Keep tallies of how many prompts you need. And every day look at it, okay? A big tip. Well, 2 really. First of all, make sure that the reward for successful completion doesn't get boring. If they get the same thing every day over time, then they're not going to be that interested in it anymore. Or maybe they just don't care about screen time that day, so why should they do this extra work? If one day it was snack, it might be something else the next day. If it was iPad time on Monday, maybe it's a special TV show on the TV on Tuesday. Just don't get stuck in a rut. It doesn't have to change every single day, but just keep an eye on it. If it's the same boring routine every day for weeks on end, over time it's going to get very stale and not be effective. So just keep an eye on it and make sure you roll with things. There's going to be days when things don't go super smoothly, and that's okay. Don't get frustrated. Just remember that it just means your child hasn't earned that preferred whatever at the end of the day. It just means that you have to complete the task for them. But if you have to complete the task for them, they don't earn their reward, we're still not stressed. We know. They know, if I do it, I get this. If mom does it, I don't get this. Oh well, and you know the same thing, so there's less stress. Tomorrow's another day. We can always try again, and we can make tweaks as we go to try to make things better. Another thing to keep an eye out for, though, is whether or not you have multiple days in a row where it's not working. That tells us a few things. The big thing is that it probably tells you that your bar is too high. You have the requirements too high. The amount of time you're allotting isn't enough. They need more prompts. They need more support. Maybe the checklist is too long. Maybe the activity is too long. You might need to break it into 2. You just need to lower your expectations a little bit. Not too much. Remember, we scaffolded things so that we can be strategic. And if we need to put something back in, we can. Okay? All of this is A-okay. It's going to happen. If you need to increase the time allowed or the number of prompts or whatever it is, you can do that with the goal of being successful at that point and being able to fade back out again. Ultimately, we're going to work to remove all of the structure as things become more and more natural and routine, but that can be a little bit of a process, and that's okay. Just something to keep an eye on. So is my setup successful? Well, I'm working on it right now, and it is yet to be seen. So until next time, keep on taking data.